appreciate everybody coming on today. These things that we put on is very key and it's very important, especially with everyone playing sports. And we all know that the ultimate goal, every athlete, if you're saying you don't want to play professionally, or if you don't want to play college football, basketball, or baseball, you're lying. But one day you do have to hang up those pads. Okay, you do have to hang up that jersey. So what we do here at the Derry Becker Foundation is make sure you have identity outside of sports. And so we have a special guest today, Mr. Marlon Favorite, one of my great friends that I played with at LSU. He's LSU and NFL defensive tackle. He was a part of the 2007 National Championship football team at LSU. He's also a 2009 Super Bowl champion with the New Orleans Saints. Marlon has his own podcast called Inside the Trenches. He's the owner of Conquer Sports Pros as well, and he's also played in movies. I don't know if you guys seen that movie with De La Salle, and Marlon, I'm gonna let you touch on that more. But he's been in movies as well. Marlon has a very, very unique story. I mean, a great story. So I want you guys to pay attention, give him your ears, your heart, and I promise you, you will walk away with this feeling a lot better. So Marlon, I'm gonna let you take it over, brother. Hold on 1 second. All right, Big Fade, you got it, brother.
Man, first and foremost, Derek, thank you so much for having me on. Guys, thank y'all for taking time out on y'all Sunday to talk and fellowship with me. Good, big time intro, Derek, man. That was pretty down packed, man. I didn't expect that. I thank you for that introduction as well. So, guys, I'm going to start where the stuff started for me and Derry with, and that's in college. I know y'all are in high school, but I know Derry has been working with you guys now, and I just really wanted to open up how we got started and how did we get to where we're at. So, my assumption is everyone on here plays football. What school y'all go to, man? And by the way, I'm gonna talk, but we're gonna have open dialogue here. I get into my story and stuff and kind of share some things, but I also want to learn about you guys as well. So I guess we can start with Black. Where you go to school at?
East Ascension.
East Ascension. Tristan,
Yeah.
how about you, brother?
Episcopal.
Episcopal. And I see Sharice, and I'm sorry, that was Blake that said he goes to not Episcopal. Where did you say you go, Blake?
East Ascension.
East Ascension. As old Putt went. Old Glenn Darcy played there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all all in the Baton Rouge area. So, okay, so when I was in high school, two things I was passionate about outside of the man upstairs, and that's football and entertainment. I knew I always wanted to pursue some type of entrepreneur. I wanted to be an entrepreneur in some form of facet, but I also wanted to play sports and entertain. So it was somewhat of an unorthodox route for me coming up in high school and college, because most folks either you played ball or you attempted to play ball or you were a scholar athlete, some of that number. So I wasn't the smartest apple from the tree, but I always applied myself because I always knew that if I wanted to accomplish something, if I wanted to get the job done, having a solid education was going to be a major piece to it. And I'll get into that portion here shortly in the story and how I got to where I am now. So I'm about a year older than Derry, but we finished at LSU at the same time. I came in 04, Coach Saban's last year there. And I want to say Derry came in 2005, the year after, but he didn't redshirt. He was a true freshman. So what I remember about that process was when we were in high school, I was one of the leaders of the friends that I hung around with. And not everybody in that group went to as far as I did with football, but we all had a mutual respect. So I say that because I know y'all are all between sophomores, juniors, and seniors? Any freshmen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I say that because you are your company, right? And even if, you have some friends or some homeboys or even some cousins, relatives, knowing how to distance yourself or keep that common group, like-minded group of folks around is super important. And I'm saying this now because if you have goals of becoming a student athlete, like me and Derry in college, we spent most of the time together because we were on the defense together. So iron sharpens iron. That's scripture. It's biblical. And that's how we were able to win championships at LSU, because we communicated, we were all good friends, so on and so forth. So in high school, I had to get that in order. I had to make sure that I surrounded myself with people who were trying to take it to the next level. So that's key number one, being able to do that. Also, making sure that you have an understanding of your lane. And like I said, you're still young right now, so things may vary, but just making sure that you have an idea of what you need to do to accomplish what you wanted to do. So for me, I wanted to play top Power 5 football, right? So with the good Lord, I was blessed with size, speed, that ability. But I also had to make sure that I train and I put the work in. Y'all get what I'm saying? So you might want to play Fortnite, or you might just be tired. Like, man, I don't feel like, figure out a way to run some extra sprinters, right? That sound familiar? Right? We're student athletes. So a big portion of this is, look, getting your diploma from high school, getting your degree in college, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The serious piece is being able to develop a network of folks who are like-minded like you, and you're able to get the correct information from your mentors from afar. So I don't know if that's reading a book, maybe reading a book about a sports figure. Let's say, for instance, Tony Dungy, or like Peyton Manning drops a book, or Reggie Wayne. I'm just naming different athletes that may end up dropping books. Read and listen to those guys' journeys to see exactly where you need to go. Studying film. You look at guys. Tristan, what position you play?
Outside linebacker and fullback.
Outside linebacker and fullback. So, that's looking at a guy like Zach Line from the Saints, or, as far as outside linebackers go, we got Derry on here. Derry, that's one of the best linebackers I ever played with on all levels, right? Studying, your position, current guys playing right now, like a guy like Demario Davis, or, Alex Anzalone. How about you, Cerise? What position you play? Cerise, I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher your name. Cerise, I say that right?
That's not my name. My name is Deshaun, but
Oh, okay, Deshaun. Oh, I'm looking at the name at the bottom. I'm sorry, Deshaun, my bad. What position you play, bro?
on the back of safety.
Running back and safety, Alvin Kamara, Tyrann Matthew. What about you, Blake?
For me, also, back in strong safety.
Strong safety, checking the cat out like I'll say Marcus Williams. I know he plays free, but I know he plays aggressive. And Tyrann for you. Studying those guys. Here's what those guys have that you want. They have the years of experience, right? So they've put in over 10,000 hours. Whenever you put in 10,000 hours, over 10,000 hours or something, you mastered it, right? Remember that, all right? 2, those guys developed a regiment through good schooling, good coaching, and those guys also possess the talent. So that's the piece where you're being honest with yourself. What do I have the speed like a Tyrann Matthew? Do I have the strength of a Zach Line? Just using that as an example. And then if I don't, how could I get it? Let's look at how these guys work out, what they do for speed workouts. That's what and always leave room for improvement. That's something me and Derry, when we were coming up in college, that's something we always paid attention to, made sure that we left room for improvement. The next piece I want to discuss with you guys, fast forward to high school. Everybody's not awarded an opportunity to play college ball. And I'm not saying everybody on here that will be your final route. Now, if it's something you're passionate about and you want to do, which that's my assumption, there are multiple opportunities out there, right? So that's now we're going to transition from high school to the college piece. All right, y'all with me? Now I could get the running in now. Hello, somebody. I could talk there. Y'all talk to me now. So if y'all have any questions too, feel free to jump in, man. Like I said, we just, I'm telling my story, but in telling my story, I want to make sure I put out enough information that can be resourceful for you guys. You dig? Right? So I'm gonna name a couple of people. Right? You got guys like me and Derry. We had top elite talent coming out of high school. So the fits were schools like LSU, Auburn, Texas, schools like that, top Power Fives. That can be all of you guys on here, right? But you have to be realistic with yourself and grade yourself the right way. Put yourself up against guys like, let's say, for instance, I played defensive tackle, right? So coming out of high school, comparison that I always got was Warren Sapp. Here's a guy that played at a very high level, won a Heisman Trophy at Miami, right? And balled out in the league. So that became the goal for me. So I would watch tons of tape on Warren Sapp. I would watch him in every game when he played for Tampa because I wanted to develop and become a student at the game early, right? Along with entertaining as well, dropping albums in high school and in college, because that's something I was passionate about doing, and it also motivated me to ball out with football. True story. Derry's freshman year, right, going into his sophomore year, my freshman redshirt, I just finished a redshirt freshman year going into my, I recorded my first full-length album. So what did that do, right? After football practice, I would go to the studio as opposed to party all the time. Found that balance. Make sense? I'm speaking your language. I'm just trying to make it through the headphones, right? Y'all with me? Y'all don't know nothing about that though, man. Y'all don't even know who that is, man. Y'all don't, y'all listen to none of that. But you get my point. That balance. But what that also did was it gave me a chi, right? Gave me a peace of mind. And I was able to approach my real job, which at that time, being a student athlete, was playing for LSU, and it worked. I earned the starting job at LSU that year, right? It had its backlash, but it was me being true to me that really mattered, Blake, guys, that's the stuff that really mattered. So be honest with yourself now. Now, you guys are 15, 16, 17, maybe 18 years old. It's a long journey. Man, you don't really have a good feeling for yourself till you're about 25. So you're still developing. So that's why I say leave room for improvement. Always discover yourself. Be true to yourself and make sure that you do those necessary things to forward you, right? So know this. Everybody's goal is, for the most part, some people might just want to play college ball and then jump into a 5-year career. Me and Derek got friends. Some of them millionaires. Some of them have 6-figure jobs, and they never touched the field at LSU. Hello, somebody. I ain't lying to you, Derek. Right? Because those guys utilize the network. We talked about that earlier. They set common goals, and they educated themselves in the field that they wanted to excel in. Outside of this hobby deal, football. Because even the football players, I got buddies in the league right now that they're trying to figure out what's the next thing to do. A lot of them hit me up because they want to do broadcasting, which I'll get into that a little later, right? So start having how do you know what it is you want to do? And how do you know, or how could you figure out what's the best fit for you in college, right? By doing a self-evaluation. Self-evaluate yourself. Say, man, let's say, for instance, I'm not to pick on you, Blake. Man, I'm safety. I play safety. I run a 4.4. I had double-digit tackles last season. I had a couple picks. You start taking those numbers, right, with the division of football you play in, place yourself with other guys across the country, look at their stats and what they do, look at who's recruiting them, and then that's how you get a general idea where you at. That's a self-evaluation. Not waiting on the coaches, the college coaches, or any of those folks to do it. Do it yourself. Now, I was fortunate. I had a wonderful high school football coach, Coach Hank Tierney. Actually, you guys familiar with TJ Finley? He coached LSU's quarterback, TJ Finley, at Ponchatoula. He coached me at Archbishop Shaw High School 2 years here and 2 years at West Jeff. We had a really nice ride. some of the best games, some of the best years of my life, and really put me in a position to be teammates with Derek, right? But I had to ball out. I had to be able to, like I said, a lot of it was, everything is God-given, but you also are applied 5 senses. You have to use them. It makes sense, right? So just to give y'all a little background about me until I really dive into this college thing, and we'll get into pros. Now, Derek, how I'm looking on time? I know I showed up to the party late. I don't want to get too long-winded, you know, and after college, y'all, I'll open up the floor for some questions.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna fine you once it's over with for being late. No, we probably got about 15 more minutes.
Okay, so good deal, Derek. So I'll speed this thing up a little bit, right? So I'm married. My wife is Tanisha. I have 3 kids. I have Kentrell. Kentrell is he's a junior at De La Salle High School, so he'll be class of 22 next year. Marlon Jr., he's going to the 5th grade. And little Titan just turned 2 this weekend, right? So that's my family. But I want to talk about college and the difference of what it is that stands out in college versus, let's say, high school. Responsibility, right? Now that we figure out we evaluated ourselves, we're at this Division 1, 2, 3, 4 school. Don't matter. It's options. I had a teammate. I told you I'm going to tell you about 3 people. Me and Derry. I had another homeboy. He actually coaches with us right now. He went to a school like Murray State, which is Division 1 AA, right? Cat named Ulysses Oldham, played running back at John Eric, right? Played a little pro ball. I had another teammate, played for the Indianapolis Colts. We were teammates there and in Washington. His name is Pierre Gonson. Y'all ever heard of him? Big time receiver, a little bit before some of you guys' time. Made millions of dollars in the NFL. He was drafted in the 6th round to the Indianapolis Colts, but he went to a Division 3 school. He went to Mount Union. Get my point? I went to big LSU. Derry went to big LSU. We didn't get drafted. We were top players coming out of high school. This guy was good, but he ended up at a D3. Bam. So I wanted to make that point, just in case that's the thing. I don't want y'all to just say I only have one option, right? So fast forward to college. Talked about the responsibility in college. Also, continue to advance your network. Do know that I'm in broadcasting right now. Currently, I do work with ESPN New Orleans. I work for LSU Sports Network. I work for NFL Network. Bounced around this Sky Sports internationally. As Derek mentioned, I have my podcast. You know, I come on television and radio. All of that stuff, I didn't just stop playing football and jumped into it, right? Took communication studies at LSU, improv, public speaking, you know, did all of those different things, right? And that's what got me an opportunity to do the movies at SAG, right? I'm an all-around entertainer. Now, for me, that's sports, that's football, that's basketball, that's whatever, you know, I have to broadcast. I didn't call basketball games. I haven't played basketball since I was in middle school. You know what I'm saying? But I had to apply myself and use the education to catapult me to that level. Wouldn't have got my out the gate, y'all. I started working with cats like y'all, bro. I loved it. My favorite job. May have an opportunity to do some of that again this year. That's calling them high school football games. Best thing smoking, baby. Hello, somebody. Talking about smoking better than Voodoo Barbecue and Grill or TJ Ribs, right? But it took steps to get there. It took leadership. It took application. It took education. Make sense? So remember that while y'all moving forward. That's the beauty of being a student athlete. You can become an all SEC player like Derry Beckwith, right? And at the same time, become a scholar student athlete. Kid, I'm cool with Christian Harris, right? Played at U High, coached a lot of his teammates, Donald Bernard, Leland Jones, couple guys, Mark Coppola, with Conquer Sports Pros. Those Christian is on the honor roll at Alabama, along with balling out and getting some on the field accolades. That's the opportunity you guys have. The beautiful thing, average NFL career, 3 years, professional 2.5, right? Give or take. I'm talking about other leagues like Arena, Canadian, sometimes 3. Some cats are lucky and fortunate enough to see 2 contracts play 10 years. But you still got 50 plus years to live a life. What you gonna do? which leads me to my last thing, right? Tell y'all a quick story right now. Leave 5 minutes at the end so we can do some Q&A. So when I left LSU, I thought I was going to play in the NFL at least 10 years. I had this 10-year plan. Remember, I always tell y'all, plan it out, set goals. And I went undrafted to the Carolina Panthers. I want to say that year, Derry went to San Diego undrafted, right? So we're playing in the NFL. Y'all, I got cut a total of 10 times, 11 times in my first 4 years of playing ball. So here's how I went. Undrafted to Carolina, ended up signing with St. Louis, cut by them, got cut by Kansas City. And I had my longest stint in Kansas City, and it was like 7 LSU players: Glenn Dorsey, Tyson Jackson, me, Dwayne Bowe, Rudy Niswander, Travis Daniels. Man, we were loaded with LSU players then, right? And I was on that during the season on their practice squad for about 10 games, 11 games, then got released, went to Seattle for the rest of the season. Just to talk about faith and what it means to just believe in your path, I ended up getting picked up by the Saints and won a Super Bowl. I was on that roster for 4 weeks, right? And from there, I became an NFL journeyman, and that's really where the difficult part of this story went, right? And it's about y'all applying yourselves and giving yourselves an opportunity to fight through the adversity. And that would really put me in a position to continue to work harder. So I went on to a couple more teams. I had a few runs with, I had Indianapolis Colts, Buffalo Bills, got picked up by New England, went to the Eagles for a little while, played with the Eagles for a hot second, went back to St. Louis, and my last NFL team was the Redskins. Now, the Washington football team. Now, back then that was the name. Excuse me, guys. And played in 2 other leagues. Played in the UFL with the Hartford Colonials out in Connecticut. Also with the Sacramento Mountain Lions out in California. All those experiences were unique. This is my Voodoo jersey right here. I played here with the New Orleans Voodoo. They retired my jersey. Broke the sack record. Had 13 and a half sacks there. Just kept going. At that point, it's 6 years playing ball, So at that point, I'm still doing my thing. But here's the catch, and this is where the transition happens, and this is where it goes from balling to broadcasting. At the time, Haley Asaro was the player personnel lady at the New Orleans Voodoo, but she also worked for Cox 4 games of the week, which covers y'all guys' games, right? CST. And I just wanted to give it a shot. I said, "Hey, Haley, I went to school for communication at LSU, right? Man, hook your boy up with a gig with Cox. Let me know what's up." So she then got me in contact after the season with Eric Coleman, right? Eric is the head of and it's the full circle piece for y'all. Eric was the head of Cox. He made all the decisions who they hired. So the first question he asked me, you want to take a guess, Tristan, what you thought he asked me first?
I'm not quite sure.
I got you covered. You ready? He asked me, "Did you graduate from LSU?" The very first question. That's why I told y'all, a degree is very valuable. I know it's losing its value as technology goes. You can be a millionaire from your iPhone if you want to nowadays, but it's still the foundation, and that's your education, right? So that was the first step. I wouldn't be able to got a jump start, So from there, it's this word that I love to use, and I want y'all to think about this later on in life, because sometimes we have to put the cliques up, right? Reinvention. Being able to reinvent yourself, right? So for me, it was, how could I transition from a football player, because at that time it just started to waddle down, right? And pick up high school games of the week. Ended up getting picked up by LSU. A couple of years later, had those other opportunities. But never stop working hard. And that was the most important piece, right? And all of that commitment to football actually helped me with Conquer Sports Pros in my business, helping student athletes take their careers to the next level. And it gives me the push to be able to go on television weekly, go on radio weekly, and do what I love to do. I never left the game, y'all. I just reinvented myself by just continuing to keep that process going. So, y'all, that's my story. I hope it motivated you guys. I wanted to make sure that, and Derry, I'm glad you're recording this so we can go back to the guys. I want to open up the floor. See, we have about 5 minutes here left. If you guys had